Good evening. Welcome to the annual Yom Hashoah program 5780. I have read that some people have been equating these Corona days of isolation and lockdown to the period of the Holocaust. Perhaps this is a spontaneous reaction during a time of extreme stress, but we know we need to be more careful with our words. We are not hungry. We are not really alone. Zoom, case in point. We are part of a human society that is not at war with us. We are fighting together against a common hidden enemy. This Yom HaShoah in the Corona era should make us reflect. We need to keep our values, our traditions, keep our faith, despite difficult circumstances. We need to be grateful for the kindness all around us and to be aware of the differences between then and now. I'd like to call on Donnie Bengio with the Hatikva.
קולות בלבב בנימם נפש יהודים הומיים ולפתי מזרח קדימם עין לציון צופיה עוד לא בדם תקוותנו התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים.
Troop 18. I'd like to welcome and introduce Troop 18, our Boy Scouts.
Color guard, attention! Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Post the colors of the United States of America. Scout salute.
In the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
Color guard dismissed.
Left face, advance.
Good evening. Today we Tonight, the 27th of Nisan, we commemorate Yom Hashoah v'Hagvura, which is the official name of Yom Hashoah, Holocaust Commemoration Day. I'd like to spend a moment thinking about and discussing, contemplating the two facets of this name, Yom HaShoah v'Hagvura, a day that commemorates the Shoah, the Holocaust, but also Gevura, strength, heroism. First, the Shoah, the devastation, the Holocaust, the destruction that we have yet to rebuild from completely. The newest numbers of demographics, the number of Jews in the world today stands at 14.7 million, which is the same number of Jews that were on this planet in 1925. No, not in 1939 at the onset of World War II, but almost a generation earlier in 1925. We have yet to reach the number of Jews that were on this planet before the devastation of the Shoah. At that time, there were 16.6 million Jews on this planet. And so when we think about the destruction, the devastation that is the Shoah, we can't help but note how we still suffer from those losses, from that devastation, from 1.5 million Jewish children that were murdered, that were never fortunate enough, neither them nor us, for them to create Jewish families of multiple generations, which would have been millions, if not tens of millions of Jews today that would have come from those 1.5 million children that were murdered. The repercussions, the reverberations of the Shoah continue to vibrate, continue to be extraordinarily relevant and timely and meaningful in terms of the collective Jewish experience of Jews in the year 2020. And so we commemorate Yom HaShoah, not just for what once was, but what continues to be the legacy of that Shoah, of that destruction and devastation. We also commemorate today the Gevura, their strength, the resilience, the heroism, not just the heroism of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising rebellion, but all of the expressions of heroism that were expressed by our forefathers, by our ancestors, by the Jews of the earlier part of the 20th century, whether it was spiritual heroism of maintaining Jewish ritual, bris, bar mitzvah, weddings, even under the most difficult of times, or having a Pesach Seder in Auschwitz, whatever it was, expressions of resilience, of optimism, of hope, of connecting to tradition from the past and in the present. This is the strength that we continue to gain inspiration from even today. And we must continue to think about that resilience because it could give us a lot of strength for today and the experiences that we have. Certainly, like Lisa said, today is not the experiences of the Holocaust, but the idea that we can look to that model of spiritual heroism, of finding opportunities in challenges, of being there to find resilience and hope. In Bergen-Belsen displaced person camp between 1945 and the year 1950, 2,000 Jewish children were born. The ultimate victory over Hitler and the Nazis. Let us commemorate the Shoah, the devastation that continues to reverberate, and let us remember the Gevura, the resilience and heroism in all shapes and forms on this Yom HaShoah 5780.
I would like to thank Dr. Leonard Honig and his Eshet Chayil, Ellen Honig, for bringing the youth dramatic presentation that we've all come to expect and to love. There was brief discussion about maybe not doing it this year, doing Zoom, but the show must go on. I am proud to present Who Will Carry the Word by Charlotte Delbo. The cast: Renee Bitone, Ariella Greenberg, Kira Jacoby, Rivka Reich, and Molly Segi.
We have returned from where there was no return. You think we know everything, but we don't. You think we know the answers? All we know are the facts. Life, death, truth.
We return for truth, for there everything was true. Pure cruelty, pure horror. Who could bear to face the truth in that cruelty?
So why do we speak? So that you would listen and maybe learn. Our story begins in the barracks of a death camp. We arrived from France.
Here, there are only two options: life or death. It's simple. There's only one penalty: death. Death if you don't run fast enough. Death if you drag your feet. Death if you catch cold.
Catch cold. What an expression. Funny, isn't it? We are in the cold. We are cold. Blocks of cold. The bread froze. We couldn't eat. Jaws of cold crush you. It's as though the cold peels you and strips you inside. Here, you don't wait for death. You expect it.
Why do we still want to live? It seems to me that it's not I that makes the decision. It must be that life itself wants to keep on living, but with no conscious reason. Always the same question: life or death?
When we entered the camp, we saw all the naked bodies in the snow. I had never seen a dead body before. We tried to walk around them, but couldn't. The guards forced us with sticks, so we jumped over the dead.
That day, when I saw the dead, I would have preferred to be shot. But now, I want to live. One of us must return. We heard the dying who all say, if you return, you'll tell. We cannot die in this place for nothing. Should millions of people destroyed here remain mute for all eternity, someone must come back to tell their story.
Hi, my name is Mary. I am 16. Can I come with you? Because I'm alone now.
Did you arrive alone?
No, with my parents, my grandmother, and my little sister in a big transport.
Where did you come from?
Paris.
You haven't been here very long.
Oh yes, 10 days. Almost the whole train went to the gas. There were many old men and many children. My parents weren't old, but they didn't want to leave grandmother and my sister. An officer took me out and put me in the other column, a very small column. The only person I knew was a girl my own age who traveled in the same freight car. We stayed together till this morning.
What did she die from?
I don't know, her face was all swollen and red.
You can stay with us. We'll make room for you.
She was beautiful, my little sister. If they had looked at her, they wouldn't have killed her. They wouldn't have been able to.
You are not sleeping yet?
We're going right to sleep. The nights are so short, and we waste time chatting.
Talking is as important as sleeping. If I did not talk, it would seem to me as if I was no longer alive.
If I return, I'll open a tea shop. The cakes will be exquisite, and I'll make a chocolate that will be the sensation of Paris.
With chocolate, I like toast. Very crusty, and in the middle it's soft, soaked in warm butter.
Listen, do you hear that? You think it's someone dying?
Who's dying?
Do you think it's one of us?
I'm afraid to sleep because I'm afraid to dream. When I sleep, I'm always alone and I'm afraid. I always dream about the bricks we carry during the day. Frozen bricks. They are covered with ice, ice which cuts deeply into my hands. The bricks get heavier and heavier, colder and colder.
I always dream about the dogs. I try to get away from them, but they leap far and in one jump catch up to me. They're enormous dogs and they throw themselves on me. I feel their warm breath panting on my face. I am petrified with fear. It's impossible to escape those dirty beasts.
I dream about the mud, the black mud, sticky and icy, a lake of mire that extends to the end of the horizon. I swirl into the mud. I go deeper and deeper, but there's nothing to hold on to. I scream. I must have really screamed because my neighbor shakes me awake.
My worst dream is the one when I come home. My mother is doing the dishes. I come close. Mother, it's me. You see, I've come back. It's true. This time, it's true. Mother doesn't turn her head toward me. She doesn't hear me. I touch her hand. It feels a little rough from doing the dishes. I feel warm and sweet all over. And then I awake with my neighbor's hands in mine. It's the dream that frightens me the most.
Make a place for me. I want to see.
What is there to see?
As soon as day breaks, they take the sick out of the bay and carry them to the morgue, then to the crematorium. I want to see if they carry out my mother. She went into the sick bay the other day.
What will it do for you to see her pass?
I have to see her pass to know the date of her death. What day is it today?
The 20th of February.
You wouldn't recognize her under the covers.
The legs stick out. Mother had deformed feet. I would recognize her feet.
There is the funeral procession advancing. The dead are on stretchers too short for their bodies.
Their legs stick out between the handles. You don't see the faces, just the legs, skeleton legs.
Today it's them, tomorrow us.
There are a lot of them today. Young ones. You can tell by their tender feet.
I'd rather die standing up.
I'd prefer lying down. The bodies are passing.
It's not that I didn't recognize my mother's feet. It's more like I didn't see them. I did see a shape I knew was my mother. May God rest her soul.
Come here. I want to talk to you.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
And who are you?
Don't you recognize me?
Now I recognize your voice. My ears are muffled.
It's the air here. It changes the sound.
And what did you want with me? What have you heard?
I heard that you wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah, so what?
You have no right to.
It's the only right I have left here. The last free act.
There are no free acts here, no choices like that.
Oh, yes, I have a choice. I can suffer for 8 days or suffer for 15 days.
Why do you want to commit suicide?
You ask me? Ask the dead. Ask their faces that are no longer faces. They suffer to a limit no person has suffered before. I can't do that.
Suppose you hold out for 15 days more, during which you help others to hold out. Even if you give up then, 15 days will have been gained.
Even if it seems like there's no hope, you still have to try to survive. Miracles do happen.
How do you know?
None of us shall return. I know.
Reasonable knowledge isn't necessarily right. I know it's easier to die than to live, but we are a part of a chain that links us all together. And if there's any chance for one of us to survive, we must all force that chance.
You are all lucky to know it should be done.
What are you doing?
Praying to Hashem.
Pray for all of us. Ask the Lord to prepare himself for our souls, one after the other.
Do you think God hears our prayers?
Yes, Hashem hears everything, especially the call of those who are suffering.
Maybe God is deaf and blind.
Don't be blasphemous. May God forgive her.
We must continue to pray, especially here. Every prayer is one more moment won.
Amen.
This place is a graveyard, one vast graveyard. It won't leave space for the survivors.
Don't worry, the children who will be born will make room for themselves.
Whose children? All the husbands and all the fiancés have been shot.
All humanity will not perish here. There will still be children.
I have a son. He is with a non-Jewish family. After what I've seen here, I tell myself I'll never love my son enough. I have to love him for all the little ones that perished here.
We have come back.
We have come back to tell you, and now we are standing here, ill at ease, not knowing what to say or how to say it.
We offer you the following words.
You cannot understand, you who have never listened to the heartbeat of one about to die.
My heart dried up from love and pain, from pain and love, day in, day out, it withered, slain.
I've spoken with death, and so I know the futility of things we learn, a discovery I made at the cost of a suffering so intense, I keep wondering whether it was worth it.
My mother, she was hands, a face. They made our mother strip in front of us. Here, mothers are no longer mothers to their children.
In hell, you do not see your comrades dying. In hell, death is no threat. You no longer feel hunger or thirst in hell. You no longer await anything.
In hell, there's no more hope, and hope is anguish, and the heart empty of blood. Why then do you say that it is hell here?
Yes, we have come back.
I beg you, do something. Learn a dance step, something to justify your existence, something that gives you the right to be dressed in your skin, in your body hair. Learn to walk and to laugh, because it would be too senseless, after all, for so many to have died while you live doing nothing with your life.
Yes, we have come back.
We came from a place where words had a different meaning.
Words to say simple things, to be cold, to be thirsty, to be hungry, to be tired, to need sleep, to be afraid, to live, to die.
If you don't understand us, it's because we no longer give those words the meanings they had there.
We wanted to be heard. We wanted to be understood.
Don't think we resent it. We knew you wouldn't understand, that you wouldn't believe because it has even become unbelievable to us.
Why should you believe these stories of ghosts? Ghosts who come back and who are not able to explain how. When we are gone, who will carry on the word? The end.
Lenny and Ellen, I am so glad that you convinced us to continue with the play. This year's was so powerful and so moving. I now ask Donnie Bengio to sing Anima Amin.
Ani maamin, ani maamin, ani maamin, be'emuna shelema, beviat HaMashiach, beviat HaMashiach. אני מאמין בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין.
Susu Danis is now going to do the candle lighting in memory of the 6 million.
We gather again to honor the loved ones lost of our young Israel families. Sandy Goldglance's father, Edith and Joseph Roth, Ellen Honig's parents, Israel and Paula Honig, Lenny Honig's parents, Aaron Jacoby and his sister Gloria Grossman, Steve Jacoby's father and aunt, Albert and Doris Zinn, Ed Zinn's parents, Shmuel and Charna Goldberger, David Goldberger's parents, Joe Rubenfeld, Carol Bergson Weinstein's father and Kobe Bergson's grandfather, Sonia Riegel and Yechiel Ephraim Kanner and Chaim Kanner, Nora Teltzer's parents and brother, Yehudit Bat David, David Abrams' grandmother, Yitzhak Silverberg, ever again. Am Yisrael Chai.
Donnie Bengio will now lead us in the El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים טהורים וגיבורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מזהירים לנשמות 6 מיליוני אחיותינו ואחינו אשר נספו בשואה, שנהרגו ושנשחטו ושנחנקו ושנקברו חיים, שנשרפו ושעונו, ילדים וזקנים, נשים וגברים, על ידי הנאצים המרצחים באושוויץ, טרבלינקה, מיידנק וכל מחנות השמד. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצור החיים את נשמתם בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותם. ונאמר אמן.
I am now excited to present our keynote speaker for our Yom HaShoah program. It is a special recorded video of Aaron Bielski, the youngest brother of the Bielski Brigade, which saved 1,200 Jewish lives in the forest of Belarus. In the youth dramatic presentation, we saw one of the girls convincing another, one of her friends, not to commit suicide because miracles do happen. Well, the story of Aaron Bielski is proof that miracles do happen. Aaron Bielski's grandson, David Abrams, is a member of the Young Israel of Hollywood for the last 2 years, and he conducted the interview of his grandfather.
Good evening. My name is David Abrams. My wife Dina and I moved to this incredible community 2 years ago this week. It is an absolute honor to be a part of tonight's Yom Hashoah program with the Young Israel of Hollywood. We want to thank everyone that was involved in the programming, and a special thank you to Lisa Barrett, Lenny Honig, Oren Steyer, Rabbi Weinstock, and Rabbi Freiberg. Tonight's discussion is with my grandfather, Aaron Belsky, the youngest of 12 siblings. They formed the Belsky Partisan, which ended the war with 1,200 plus survivors that are now 30,000 plus descendants alive today. I hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you. I always call you Poppy, but what does the rest of the world call you?
Say it again, I didn't get you.
I always call you Poppy, but what does the rest of the world call you? What's your name?
The rest of the world? Aaron.
Aaron.
Belsky.
And who's the young lady sitting next to you?
It's my best girlfriend I ever had.
So hopefully Henrika will help us answer a few questions today if you need any help remembering, because we know that she knows a lot of your history.
You can ask anything you want. You can ask anything you want.
Thank you. So where were you born?
Oh, you're gonna put me through trouble, I can see that.
Okay, you have to answer him.
I wish I could be there. Was born in Europe, Belarus, in Europe. Was born in actually there were generations there. As far as I know, 2 or 3 generations in a village. You want the name of it?
Yeah,
please.
Everything.
Stankiewicz is the name of it. Today, some of it exists, but next to nothing. I was born in an amazing place. I get God was always with me. You probably won't believe it. But God was always with me. I went through a lot of trouble in my life. Hundreds, thousands got killed, butchered in front of me. I'm still here in your house. This, I think, is pure luck. Maybe God had to do with it, I couldn't tell you. But I was, my personal opinion is I was very, very lucky. And here I am. What else you want to know?
Can you describe your house? I remember when we went together, you described there being a river across. You had a family mill.
Oh.
How close was your house to the forest?
So, depends, to ride on a horse, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. By foot will take you longer, take you 2 hours.
And were there other Jewish families near your family in the village?
Right near us?
Yeah.
No, we were the only Jewish family. A couple of miles away was another Jewish family.
Yeah. And that's where the school was? Near the other Jewish families, that's where the Jewish school was?
Jewish school?
The Talmud school. The Talmud school where you attend.
I remember
There was
when...
no school in the village.
None in the village, right.
Not in the village was no school.
But
Right.
where you have to go to the school?
Havadok. The closest legitimate school, I think you were there with me,
Yeah.
Havadok.
Yeah.
That's
I remember when we went there together, you reminded me of a story when I was in school. When I was younger, I was being bullied in school. And you helped me, you gave me advice how to get rid of the bullies.
Yeah, I was bullied too until I got sick of it. And one morning I said to myself, if they're going to bully me, they used to make fun of me that I come from a village. And they in a city, in Havana. Big deal. But children, you know, could be very cruel if they have the opportunity. For no reason they be cruel. But they were cruel to me, make fun of me. He used to say, there's a fellow from the village. I got sick of it. I took like a baseball bat, a piece of wood, that big. And they pointed me out. And look what he does, that the village boy. So I said, when I heard it, you know, I'm going back so many years, 90 years, I heard it. I said, look, I could break your legs, I could do anything if you're not going to keep your mouth shut. But I took them like this. And since then, children could be very cruel. I don't know if you know about it. Since then, they said, don't start up with him, he's crazy. And I was a lot of my life like this. I was in the Israeli army. They also called me crazy.
I want to come back to that. That was one of my questions.
Okay.
I'll ask again soon.
Soon, wait.
Did you stop going to school after that? I remember you telling me a funny story. Once this happened, what did you do? You kept going to school or you went back home?
Can I say
I think I went back home, and I got beat up at home from one of my brothers. Why did I come back from school? What is this?
How old were you when you went back home?
Probably 7, 8, or 9, somewhere there, you know.
Yeah.
I understood what fear is. So I had to be 7, 8, or 9 years old. Because if you're smaller, you don't know what fear is.
And when you went back home,
yeah,
who was at your house by then? Most of your siblings were older? They had moved out of the house?
I was the youngest, of course.
You were the youngest of how many siblings?
10 brothers and 2 sisters.
And your parents' names?
David and Bailey were my parents.
And So you're living at home with your parents. Were any of your other siblings living at home with you?
I didn't get you.
Were any of your siblings living with you at the time when it was you and your parents at home?
Yes. Can I say? Was
Yeah, she'll know better.
Asoyol, Zisol, Yankol, Abraham, Estelle, and Aaron. They were still home because the older, like Zush, Tevya, was married already, was on close villages live. Yeshia was in the Yeshiva Kamenetz. Already he was on Yeshiva. That's only this what was left at home.
Yeah.
7, 8 kids was home. Taibe was married already too, was married to Jen Cholsky. And that's really what was at home, that's what I say, the sibling. And they was working in the farm, because they have farm, and they was helping in the mill. Like Asoyer was in the farm, Yankol, Abraham was helping in the farm. And the Sam, they was helping in the mill.
No, we had
The guy was there too.
also a man, a Gentile, that worked steady for us. 2 men. And they learned to speak Yiddish. I don't know, you don't know.
What was Kozlowski?
Yeah.
Kozlowski was helping in the mill too. And after during the war, they killed him. But he learned Yiddish fluently, like all Jews. He was Gentile. He was a Polish man or a White Russian man?
White Russian.
White Russian. He learned Yiddish. He was speaking Yiddish with Aaron's father, fluent.
Yeah.
And he was working in the mill, and the other one was the guy who, after appointed the parents to be killed, the policeman. Yeah.
I want to get to that in a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we when we were there, we went to Novogrudek. We went to a place to have lunch, and I didn't realize where we were sitting was actually a police station.
Right.
And you told us a story about how your mother had to bring a sack of gold to the police station.
Yeah, to let out. They arrested two brothers of mine.
Yankol and Abraham.
And Avremo, yeah. Avremo was religious, very religious, like you probably. So the lines along you.
From what I remember, your mother went to the police station, but you waited on the outside because they didn't know, they said your mother can go, but if they recognized you, it would be a problem.
Right.
And so your mother went in the police station, gave the chief of police the sack of gold.
But he took, I think, whatever she had, but it wasn't enough. Am I right?
Yes, he took all the gold what his mother brought to the police station.
Right.
But he checked it, he said not enough. They did not let out Abraham and Yankov because they was already sitting in jail. The mother wanna bail them out for the gold, but it was not enough.
Right.
And I gonna mention, his mother was wearing Star of David, yellow Star of David, but Aaron, they never wear the Star of David. He was like, always...
Never.
He was like feel privileged person and he never wear it. But if he was standing there, the policeman, his father was working in the farm, in the mill, and he point out that is the younger Bielski, and take Aaron to the police station.
Right. So that, if I remember when we were there, it was when the Germans first came into the area, they got your neighbors, some of your neighbors, to become policemen, and that's how they knew who you were.
Who is who, yeah, correct.
And so they pulled you from the street, they brought you to the police station.
Brought me to the police station Yeah, I think they asked me where my older brothers are.
Right. And did you give them any information?
No, I did not.
And
Said,
so
"I
what
don't
did
know."
they do?
Said, I don't know. He said, I'm going to kill you. I closed my eyes and I was waiting to be killed. And then came a sucking sin.
No.
Well, they brought you outside to the back of the police station.
In the back police station, they bring you
Right.
in the police station in the back. And you was digging hole for you, sir. They was digging grave. Maybe I say. They take him to the police station and they was asking him where his brother are. Soyol Zissel. But he become mute. He don't say no word. And they say, if you don't want to speak, we're gonna take you in the back. You have to dig grave for yourself. If you dig the grave, we're gonna kill you there, and you're gonna be killed. If you have to say where the brother are, and he was completely mute. They let him lying on the grave, and try how big the grave is enough big for him, and they want manipulate with the rifle. They're gonna kill him. But somewhat, and they stop.
Can I ask you
Yes.
to finish that sentence? What happened? They asked you to dig the grave. They
Yeah.
said get in it, and then what happened?
Asked me to dig the grave, so I dig the grave as much as I could, but as a rocky, it was very hard. So they say, dig what you dig. You know, that was just to humiliate you, to scare you. That's why I understood, the way I understand. But for some reason or another, again, I have to say that I would say luck, and God was always with me, I guess.
What?
Butchered so many people around me, and I'm still here. I always repeat that.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you anything different.
If he was taken to the police station, there was a lot of people sitting in jail, not only him. And the people saying to him, oh, you Jew, you're gonna be killed right away. You Jew, you don't
You'll
gonna
never get out of here.
You're never gonna get out from here. But somewhat in the act of God, one of the German men come and he say, you run home. We don't want you here. That's what he was
Run
saying.
before I change my mind, he said.
And so you went back home, and a little time passed. And I remember you telling me that one night you heard a sound. You knew a sound that was approaching. What was the sound? You know what I'm referring to?
There was a truck or something, or a car, I don't know.
And who drove trucks at that time?
And I ran away to hide again.
But you knew that it was the Nazis coming, right? Because it was, who else drove a truck at that time?
Correct.
I want to tell you, that time, if the truck pulled to their driveway, he saw the policeman and German was jumping from the truck. They come, arrest his parents. He was hiding behind stable, yeah? He was behind stable. Right. If he saw it, he ran to the forest. But this time they take his mother and his father, who has broke ribs, before the policemen come to their house and they beat him up with the rifle, and his father cannot leave the bed. But if they come pick them up, he has to be ready to go.
Right.
And they take him on the truck. And his mom asked one of the policemen, because he grew up in Aren Farm, can you give me a galoshe? That was a boots what is good for winter and
This I'll never forget.
For rain.
He was laughing.
Yes, he started laughing and he said, where you going? You don't gonna need the galoshe.
This was one of the farmers that lived on your
This was one of the local goyim.
That lived in Stankevich before the war?
Right.
His father was working in your farm, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, his father was the guy who worked on the farm and the mill.
Yeah.
He grew up with Aaron and all the Bielskis, but he became a policeman. He was very important and he wanted to kill Jews.
But I tell you, thank God, everyone got paid what was coming to him. Can you believe it? This is unbelievable. Everybody. Maybe one escaped. I don't remember the name. One. Other than that, they all got paid with interest. The Belskis was a very tough family. Then, if you want to hurt them, you have to hurt them for good, because if any of them will remain alive, they'll get you. The Belskis had a very tough name. On good terms, the nicest. Bad terms, don't come any worst.
Day was Shabbos, was Friday. They take all his parents and the brother from the jail. It was 6,000 Jews, one Shabbos. They make 2 dicks, and between the dicks was passage. And they bring all the Jews there to the forest they call Skridlever. And the people was coming to the passage from both sides of the dicks was machine gun, was the policeman and German was, and the Jews have to come in the passage and they were shooting them. Who get the bullets was okay, but who do not get the bullets was wounded. They landed in the grave, and the earth was moving for a week. The people was choking there because was still alive. They was very alive. That's what we went with you to the massive grave. What I bring the Easter candle.
Right.
But Aaron escaped, that is different, because there was hunting for him. They want to take him back to, but he escaped. But he escaped to the neighbor house. The Polish couple was a white Russian couple. He was sitting in the kitchen, and the police come and they say, the little one escaped. Maybe he hiding here. But the people say, no, we do not hide Jews. And he wanna escape from that, through the kitchen to the back door. But there was very bad dark, and he was afraid more of the dark than in the German. And the German left, and he was safe.
Right. You were hiding in the oven that night, right? In the kitchen?
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
On the top of the oven.
And so then you went to the forest. Did your brothers find you? Did you find them?
On the exit of the forest, I was waiting. I knew if I wait there, I'll see them sooner or later. And good enough, they knew what went on in our house. They knew that our parents arrested, and they knew that we were terrorized.
And so now you're in the forest, you're with your brothers. How was life in the forest?
Say it again?
Now you're finally in the forest with your brothers. What was life like when you were in the forest?
Forest is freedom. This is why, can I make the remark to you? This is why a lot of city people, city Jews, did not escape because they were living in the city. They thought that woods only live wild animals. They did not know. They did not know that woods means life, sunshine, freedom. You follow me?
I do.
The life in the woods, can I say, was very, very freedom, but was also very harsh. Come winter, was 30 below, 35, 40 below Celsius. You have to sleep in the snow. You have no oven, nothing to heat you up. You have to sleep what you have. And if they have camp, they have some small heating or something, but before they have the big camp, they was moving all the time because they was hunting like animal all the time. The German, the police, the Russian policeman was after them. It's today they stay one place and tomorrow they have to move to other place. Remember what we was with us?
Yeah.
First camp was like 5 kilometers from the house. We were sitting on the deck what was there.
Yeah.
And they move, I don't know how often, but they have to move. They was afraid to stay one place because people knew roughly what they can be and they can come and arrest them.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned a story also about you saw the Nazis had a dog and you were laying there and you told me something about freedom and the dog.
Yeah, my brother's sister said that. I'll never forget it. He said, look at his dog. He's not afraid of anybody.
It's not in the camera.
He's free. And we're afraid. The dog is not afraid of anybody. We have to hide it, be afraid.
But that was outside of the forest. That was on the other side of the road. But you said that in the forest, you were free.
In the forest, inside, yes, we were free because they didn't know exactly where we at. And then we had arms. And they found out very quickly that we had arms. Then they were afraid, then they sent airplane. Can you imagine? To kill the few Jews, they sent airplanes. But that's what it was. What can I tell you?
And so you were able to protect yourselves? You just mentioned you had guns. You had food. How did you find food?
How did we find food?
Food.
This was no problem. You go to the villages and you take it. Some give you what they want to help you. Not all going were bad. And the one that don't want to help you, you would take by force. But they were going to not touch. They were better than Jews. Not all going were bad. They human like we are.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad, some very good, some brilliant. Going put up at stake their lives to help us. Because if this would get to the German police, even not Germans themselves, would be butchered, be burned their lives. You know, what I would suggest to you, there is written somewhere written somewhere about those times. I think we don't have it on a movie.
We have, but this he asking you to say from you, not from the books. You have to say what he
I'll explain it.
Yes.
I think I'm very lucky that my entire life I got to hear these things firsthand from you.
Yeah, firsthand, but
But not everyone is as lucky.
I'm in the 90s.
Kanai Nahara. I may
In
have
the
asked,
90s.
but
It's hard for you to understand. There aren't too many people in the 90s. If they are normal. I'm in the 90s. It is hard. I have seen so much in my life that it's very hard to remember specifics.
But I appreciate everything that you're sharing.
I do the best I can. What can I tell you, David?
You know, I think a book, you could read a book, and I've read many of them, and you can see movies, and we'll talk about Defiance in a minute. But I think that it's an amazing thing that people for generations.
Look, you were with me in Europe, no?
Yeah.
You were blowing the shofar, right?
Do you remember where I blew the shofar?
Na Riuke Pushche.
No. He
Oh.
also, yes, and also on the, where was very close, where was the Talbot School, in the square in Novogradek.
Right across from the police station.
Yes, across from the police station where he was arrested.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tamar was telling us that.
You know, it's a long time ago. But thank God I'm still here.
Yeah. So, going back to the forest, so everybody had different jobs, right?
Right.
There was, and you told me that the Belskis made soap and sausage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there was a barter system. How did it work? That everyone did something different? Did everybody decide how much they would share, or were there rules?
Of course there were rules. Had to be rules.
And who made sure that everyone kept
You know
those?
what 1,200 people are? Jews. It's a city. It's a town. It's a city, not a town. It's a city.
Tevye was making the rules.
Some Jews were very understandable. And they appreciated some. They came to the woods and they wanted to kiss our feet. Because the life was saved.
It was Tevye, the older, he was the commander. Zuj was helping him in Asoyol. But the rules giving always Tevye, and people have to listen.
Not in the beginning.
Yeah.
No.
Later on, if Tevye come to the forest.
When Tevye came.
Well, what do you mean by that? Not at the beginning.
The main, a lot of people feel the way Enrica tells you. You have to, if you 6 or 7 brothers or sisters, you know, so the Jewish people give the COVID, you know what COVID is, to the oldest.
Yeah.
Whether it's coming to him or not, he gets the COVID.
Yeah, that's what I say.
But in essence, the COVID got Tevye. But in essence, the Kodesh should have gotten Hashoah and Zissel, which they did. They did. Because later on everybody knew that if not Hashoah and Zissel, there would not be anything.
Yeah.
Those 2 brothers were the main at the time.
Who was older, Asael or Zush?
Soil.
And so,
but they were very little apart, like a year.
yeah. I wanted to point out that in the movie, in Defiance, they showed Zush as being older. There were a couple of differences in the movie to real life. So I was curious, at the end of Defiance, there's this scene of all this shooting and tanks.
Yes.
Did that ever happen?
if this happened, of course it is happened worse than you saw in the fires.
Yes, they happen.
Happened worse, of course.
I'm asking that also because I think the story was in the movie, you're walking in the water was up to your knees, but I think you told me that really the water was at your shoulders or to some people's necks when you walk through the water.
The swamps, yeah.
Yes, some people had to be carried on the shoulder, correct. I had a child, a kid. I was a kid myself, but I had a little...
The man still alive is living in Long Island.
How did you learn the war was finally over?
Oh, this was simple. You saw how Germans were running the way we run. Now they running the other way. They throwing their clothing, their weapons. This was easy. This was easy.
But you were hiding in the forest. How did you know?
They run through the forest.
Oh, they run through the forest to escape.
Yeah. The German, yeah.
Of course. They run through the forest and I saw some women, Jewish women were hitting them. So somebody said it's enough. So the man is nearly dead. No, she said, it's not enough. That's for my mother, that's for father, that's my granddaughter. You have to see that movie.
Okay.
But I say, thank God I'm here.
Yes.
I'll never forget that. Very important to be nice to people and to say to yourself, it's hard today, tomorrow will be better. Not tomorrow, a week later, will be better. You have to have this belief, I think. This is the way I live all my life. A good Jew is hard to be. It is. If you want to be a good Jew, it's very hard to be. But at the end, it pays off, I think. You come Friday night to the synagogue, Saturday, they appreciate you, people respect you. This is what I mean. It's hard to be a good Jew, but at the end it pays off in every aspect of life. I hope you agree with me. This is the way I see it.
I fully agree with you.
This is the way I see it.
The war is over now. You leave Europe and you go to Israel.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were in Israel? Did you keep fighting? Did you stop fighting? What happened?
No, in Israel, I think they took me to the army.
Yes, maybe because he don't remember everything. He was going to Europe with his brother.
Yeah.
They went Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Yugoslavia, till they get to Italy. And Italy, he split with his brothers. An Israeli agent that time was Palestine, was looking for a young boy who can fight.
They knew that.
Yes. The orphanage boy or boys, they coming to Italy, they want to escape Europe. They was there and they was hunting for them, and they all was taking...
Looking for them.
Yes, they was all taking to the boats to Israel. If Aaron arrived to Israel, to Haifa, they have to hide, because the British was still there. If they will see them, they will take them and arrest. He was taken to Kibbutz Ayalon.
So you were saying the Israelis loved you. I remember you telling me something about when the Arabs were shooting at you.
Edbach al-Yahud. they used to kill the Jews. I was laughing. So the Israelis said I'm abnormal. The Arabs are shooting and you're laughing. It don't make sense to them, but compared to the war that I went through in Europe, the Second World War, this was nothing. This was a game. This was nothing. Zero. Zip.
Right. So now that this is all over and you're living here, what motivates you to go back to Novogrudek when we went back? What makes you want to visit the forest?
I will go today. If you want to pay for me, I go.
But explain.
This is hard to tell. This is my personal. I think you want my opinion. I can answer you. The reason, the way I understand, there was my whole family. I grew up there in Europe. So, in a way, I told this to Putin. Good question. What I say to Putin, I said to him, sir, I have to admire you and respect you because I grew up within Russian people, and they saved my life. And imagine, here to shake hands with you. The biggest man today on earth. And he said, let Henrika tell you.
He said, no, that is not your privilege, it's my privilege, meet you, because you fight for the independence of our country. You was the first line. I'm here now.
Can you imagine to hear this from the strongest man in the world today? Was so nice, amazingly. As bigger actually they are humble they are. What else you want to know, David?
So you did all this. Everything was so amazing, and the Belskis saved so many lives.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it spoken about for so long until the movie came out?
Say it again?
Why were there so many years where the story wasn't talked about until the movie came out, Defiance?
You want my opinion?
Please.
It was very hard. For me, it was very hard to talk about it. But sooner or later, you get used to it, and people ask you questions, and you open up. It was very hard. What else you want to know?
At the very beginning, I asked you your name, and you said Aaron Bell, and then you said Belsky.
Correct.
Why did you switch your name?
From Belsky to Bell?
Yeah.
Well, this is easy. First of all, I had here a brother. that his name was Bell. And why, if someone is asking me, I never give up Belsky. By the way, I never gave up Belsky. If someone introduced me to someone, I'll ask, which name do you want to know? The truth or the untruth, the old or the new? This is the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth.
No, I was just curious. I never asked you that question.
I'll never give up this Belsky. Never. Why would I give it up? Such a name. I was born with it. My parents gave it to me. Why would I give that up? Hell no. What else do you want to know?
I think I really asked most of what I wanted to ask. I think, there are a lot of people that will hopefully watch this at my shul at Young Israel of Hollywood. Is there anything that you want to end with, some advice for them to take? You've been through a lot. I'm sure they would appreciate learning from you.
My opinion? I think I told you. Be a good Jew, it is hard to be, but at the end, it's very much rewarding. And be nice to people, that's important. Jew or Gentile, be very nice to people. This is very, very important. Because if not Gentile people, I will not be alive. Simple as that. So just because one is Jewish and he is Gentile, don't make the Jewish a king and the Gentile fellow bad. If not Gentile people, I would not be alive. Simple. I give you true life experience. What else, David?
Thank you.
David, thank you so much. I mean, I would do anything to spend that sort of quality time with that cute, adorable grandfather of yours. So thank you so much for doing that for us. It was a wonderful interview. My favorite part was the question at the end when you asked him what message he would give. That really moved me. I really liked that very, very much. I'd also like to take this time to wish you and your mom Nechama on the passing of your grandmother, who was your grandfather's wife, first wife, before they were divorced many, many years ago. To Yehudit Bat David, may her neshama have an aliyah for what you did for our Yom HaShoah program. I'm sure she's Shepi Nachas. And right now we are going to have a Zoom Sephardi Mariv, and good night to everybody.